Bree,
Okay.
why won't Bree just go away?
Why? Well, okay. I mean, obviously, we're joking. I love her. I love that she has been on this since the beginning because she was totally right. We all knew she was right. And anybody who was arguing against it was just a toady for the elite class of people in power. And watching what's happening now, this is about force the vote. I know you all know, but because I just had 5 shots or something, I'm stumbling.
Start from the beginning. Start from the beginning.
Start from the okay. So 2 years ago, no, I'm joking. I'm joking. I was born. No, watching what's happening with the Kevin McCarthy votes in Congress is sending establishment liberals into gales of laughter and some weird schadenfreude where they think that this is a party in disarray, which possibly it is, but instead of taking what you should take from that, which is this is how politics works. What are you fighting for? Whom are you trying to represent? I don't agree with anything Republicans do at all. I loathe them. But watching some people leverage their power is what they were put there to do. Why else are you getting into politics?
That's the whole game. They literally, the squad and whatnot, literally all of them came into power saying they were going to disrupt
Nancy Pelosi's
things.
Corrupt.
She's corrupt, blah, blah, blah. They're going to disrupt things. That it's more important to get the facts out and fight for these issues than it is to win a second term. You name it. And every single one of them could win re-election by just fighting for the issues.
That's right.
You know, they don't need to kowtow to Pelosi. But what we're seeing right now is their exact strategy that was pushed for. And I don't blame people who might disagree with the strategy. I don't think you're my enemy because you don't agree with the strategy of FTV. But FTV was a sound strategy. It was literally what they were elected for. And their excuse for not, and just to, FTV was like, they would withhold their vote for Nancy Pelosi unless she guaranteed a floor vote for Medicare for all. And there were other demands as well, but that was the main one. And so what we're seeing now is a core group of radical Republicans. That doesn't make them similar to the squad. It just means the strategy, separate of the issues, is working. It already worked because
they already got concessions.
He's lost 4 or I don't know how many votes there were today, but he did not win.
There have been 5 at this point. There have been 5. Yeah.
5 votes. He lost. He has not become speaker. So either your goal is he doesn't become speaker or he becomes speaker and you get so many concessions to earn your vote.
Right.
Change the dynamic, which was the whole point of forcing the vote.
And instead we heard there was some inside strategy and committee assignments. Meanwhile, they all either lost their committee assignments or didn't get the ones that they were gunning for. They were gonna use this new, position with Pelosi to fight for a $15 minimum wage. They didn't do that either. I mean, what has the squad accomplished since they've been there? Honestly, I'd love for somebody to name a single thing, not one thing. And I am not like a fraud squad person, but I'm not sure exactly what we're supposed to be thinking right now.
So I choose to narrow the issue and not look at what they did or didn't do, what they haven't or haven't accomplished, because I think that brings in permission to argue about what they're fighting for and their public support. But I just want to look narrowly at FTV. If you look narrowly at FTV, their excuse for not doing it has all borne out to be lies because they didn't do the things that it was an abysmal failure not forcing the vote.
Okay, but I mean, I understand what you're saying. And I mean, I'm not arguing with it. I totally agree.
Arguing.
I totally agree. But like, they haven't done that ever, right? They never leverage their power. They never try to embarrass the people who are their seniors of the party. So they never want to be called out for doing anything that goes against the leadership. And if you are that scared to take an antagonistic approach to the leaders, then what good are you? You can say, I don't take corporate money, but if you vote in line with the people who do and enable every policy that they want to pass, then it doesn't matter if you take corporate money or not. You're still serving the same people in the end.
Look, if you have a great job and it pays you $125,000 a year, for example, and you told everyone you would go in and fight for these things, forget you're a senator, but you're like, oh, when I become manager, I'm going to do this. Well, what happens, even if it's not about taking corporate money, you go to work every day with these people. You have to stand up to them. And instead of being that person in the boardroom, which you were elected to be, who's fighting for the workers, you're in the boardroom going, ha ha, ha, pass me a donut. Like, can I have, make me another double latte? You're not actually fighting. You're not doing the exact literal things you said you would do.
Not once. And whether it's, talking about Medicare for all, which they stopped talking about. I mean, God, remember when AOC actually undermined Bernie when he was still during the primaries by saying that she wouldn't necessarily, like, oh, well, we could probably negotiate. It doesn't have to be exactly Medicare for all. I mean, she was already stepping back from anything that might embarrass the people in power way back before.
I keep going back to COVID, but like, it's amazing we're in a pandemic and they're not using the pandemic to speak up for pandemic protections.
If
that doesn't tell you, like, you expect me to believe you're going to fight to the core for Medicare for all when you're not even like you're not pushing back even a teeny bit. Like, hey, Biden, how about some masks? Like there's nothing. The whole core of them are silent on it.
There was a good video. It's only a minute long, but I just love to show it because I do think that people are sort of, there is a lot, like James Carville was trending on Twitter because he said something about, you're supposed to take the pin out of the grenade and toss it, not pass it around. And, how Robert Reich was saying that, RIP to the GOP. Sorry, those shots are catching up with me. But meanwhile, like the GOP, I don't know what they're talking about. Like, it's like this narrative of welcoming back or longing for the days of the good Republicans and when they were a sane party. They have always been racist, disgusting, big business toting, evil ghouls. That party didn't die. It just spread to the left and brought in the whole Democratic Party because of Bill Clinton, right? So it just got bigger. The GOP has two wings of it now. That's what I think. Anyway.
And the Democrats have as Nina Turner said, two cheeks of the same ass. I love that line of hers.
Yeah. And they're all celebrating on the floor watching this. But what are they celebrating? Like they lost. What are they going to accomplish now in the next 2 years? Does anybody care about fighting for the policies that people need in this country?
Yeah, because ultimately they want this coup to work because the coup takes them more radically right, which allows them as a party to move more radically right as well. And they can act like, well, we're not as radically right as that. At least
we're not them.
Further radically right.
Yeah.
And that's the whole game because that makes the donors happy on both parties.
Yep. All right. Should we just show this video?
Show it.
I'm showing.
Well, the reality for Kevin McCarthy is Pelosi's nightmare back from 2019, as I'm sure you'll remember. She was, of course, elected as House Speaker when Democrats took back control. But progressives, newly elected progressives, led by folks like Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, were openly skeptical of Pelosi's leadership, whether she should be Speaker at that time, whether it was time for generational change, and whether they would vote against her. AOC actually voted for her at that time, and Republicans booed her on the House floor for doing so. But all of this sort of shows that while Pelosi was elected Speaker at a time of these sort of left-wing rebels, that so-called squad never ended up being the threat to the Democratic Party that these right-wing rebels are ending up being to McCarthy and the larger Republican Party. And we're seeing that play out in real time yesterday with this Speaker fight, and we're going to see this continue as they try to govern through the 118th Congress.
Yep. Thank you to Case Study QB for that clip. He does a good job of pulling those clips. They're not a threat to power. They've done nothing to leverage. They don't, I think it was it Cori Bush who said that they don't seem to discuss and figure out how to vote to, leverage their power or to prevent things from happening. I mean, the few things that any progressives have done, even that silly letter about possibly having some path to diplomacy, they pulled it right away when they got any pushback. I mean, I welcome their hatred? Where is that? Where are those
And
people?
I'll be a one-term congresswoman.
Bring the ruckus, and I will
Bring the
be a
ruckus.
one-term. Yep.
And she wouldn't. That's the really disappointing part, is she could be as radical as she wants, and it would only help her. It would not harm her at all. Like, even if you want to just have one of them, just have AOC be the one that's the crazy one. The other ones safely vote and protect their seats or whatever.
Yeah.
Why isn't there one?
I don't know. We need Claire Daly and Mick Wallace over here.
Let's do it.